The 11 principles for character education, I'd like to kind of just highlight them for you. And again, you can kind of see where this maybe fits into what it is that you are doing in your school, maybe already, or what you would like to be able to do. These are core principles. Then we're going to put it in a comprehensive model for you. Character education promotes core ethical values as the basis of a good character. We talked about when we defined what is character. Character education promotes that common language. And as I said, I know many of you already have a common language in the values that you're promoting in your school, right? Think about those values. They substantially increase the effectiveness of what you do. Secondly, character must be comprehensive, defined, include that head, that heart, and the hands piece. It's got to be comprehensive. Remember what I said, it's not just to know good. You got to love the good, but you got to be able to do the good. So don't think about character and say, well, the kids should have figured this out by now. Kids know right from wrong. No, we want kids to have the discernment and the discipline to do right regardless of the cost. So the second core principle is simply thinking, feeling, and behavior. 3, character education requires an intentional, proactive, and comprehensive approach that promotes your core values in all phases of school life. 4, the school must be a caring community. And 5, to develop character, students need opportunities for action, moral action, putting it into practice. 6, effective character education includes a meaningful and challenging academic curriculum that respects all learners and helps them succeed. There's one of those key words in there, if you can remember what we talked about at the start this afternoon. It should strive to develop students' intrinsic motivation. And the school staff must become a learning and moral community which all share responsibility for character education in an attempt to adhere to the same core values that guide the education of students. 9, it requires moral leadership from both staff and students. 10, the school must recruit parents as full partners in your character building effort. And finally, evaluation of character education success, the effect in the school, what the faculty believes, and on certain students' attitudes, behaviors, and certain functions that they do, and the extent that they manifest good character. We need teachers in schools for character who are what I call caregivers, models, and ethical mentors. Treat students with love and respect, encouraging right behavior, and correcting in a very positive and constructive way wrongful actions. Because they learn what they live, it's important that all adults who interact with children serve, and young people serve in that role. Critical. I don't know of any school that I work with, anywhere in the world, that has character education if adults do not treat children and young people with respect, don't serve as models, mentors, or caregivers. It's all a bunch of garbage. It's not going to be effective at all. You need teachers, in my mind, to model the moral behavior, students to buy into the behavior, and parents to reinforce it all. This is my ideal. This is what needs to be done. It starts, though, in my mind, with teachers modeling it, students buying on into it, and then reinforcing it home. So if I'm going to give a summary about what I think my role is as an educator, my educator role is very simply this. I'm going to do the best I can to model core values that we have at our school. Secondly, I'm going to make sure I get students to buy into it. I'm going to make sure that they understand who I am, what I think it's important, and what they can do to make this meaningful for them. And 3, I would really like parents to reinforce them at home. And the caring relationships have to foster the desire to learn and the desire to be a good person. A lot of teachers work hard to get the kids who have the desire to learn, but then they also focus with them the desire to be a good person. And values are best transmitted through these warm, caring relationships. In schools, kids really care about our values because we know we care about them. And if children do not experience an adult as someone who respects them, cares about them, lives up to those values themselves, they're not going to be open to anything else I think a teacher teaches about values. Not going to happen. So you must be, as I said, a caregiver, love and respect children as teachers, helping them succeed at the work of school, building their self-esteem. Secondly, you must be able to be a moral model And sometimes teachers get afraid of that word, moral model. And the reason they get afraid of that word, they say, if I talk myself as a moral model, it seems to be elevating myself. And when I blow it, people will call me on the carpet and say, wait a minute, I thought you were being a model of good character and you just blew it. It happens. But here's how I put it. I, as an individual, as a character educator, I'm not as good as I ought to be. I'm not as good as I want to be. I'm not as good as I'm going to be. But I stand before you today better than I once used to be. I still struggle visibly upholding core values. I make often wrong choices. I don't hold myself up to perfection, but I let myself know I struggle and I'm going to do the best I possibly can. That's what a person as a moral model really works to do. And then finally, they serve as an ethical mentor. Mentor, meaning the sense through direct instruction, through storytelling, through guidance with explanation, being very intentional, not incidental in their approach. I think it's a powerful way to use, to teach character using quotations. You could do a similar activity just as I did. You could have a discussion about quotations and connect it to character and values. Just think of the three that you chose and what a discussion could take place, again, based upon just those three quotes. I have listed on page 12 for you just a number of different discussion questions. A discussion guide that a teacher could use if you're going to use quotations. Now, my son-in-law, Scott, teaches physical education as a coach. And every day in his gymnasium on the whiteboard, he would write a quotation. But do anything else, nothing else. Just write the quotation up on the board. One day he got to school a little bit late, did not have time to write the quotation. Every period class that came on in, somebody would raise their hand and say, Mr. Plaisir, where's the quotation? How come it's not up on the board today? Somebody else might say, did you run out of quotations? Do you need some more? And he said, no, I just didn't have a chance to get it up there. And they said, well, is it going to be back up there? And I said, you know, my son-in-law would say, nobody ever commented on the quotation. Nobody said something like, that's sure a profound quote up there, Mr. Plaisir. It sure tells me how to live my life. And the response was, just because we didn't comment, it didn't mean we didn't read or reflect. After one of the periods, a girl came up to him with a backpack and pulled out of that a tattered notebook and showed my son-in-law that every day she had written down the quotation that he put up on the board, and she journaled on that quotation about how she should live her life. It's powerful. So I have put some discussion questions. It's a great way to teach character. You can begin your class with that in some ways, and you can ask questions, not only the 4 questions that I kind of put up on the screen for you, but you could ask things like, what circumstance you think prompted the speaker to say this? Why do you suppose this quotation is notable? If it doesn't apply to you, what kind of person or situation would it apply to? How would the world be different if everyone lived by this quotation? How would it be different if no one lived by it? Is the quotation idealistic or is it realistic? And then in the bottom part, I've kind of written some activity ideas, if you would like to, besides the discussion questions. You could have students find quotes themselves about certain topics like honesty or success, or about one of the values such as responsibility or respect. Have them write a brief biography about the person who said their favorite quote, or rewrite the quote as if a 10-year-old could understand it. Or give the students the first part of the quote and let them finish it themselves. For example, the quote that I have there is on number 6 is, most folks are about as happy as, let them finish that quotation. President Abraham Lincoln said, as they make up their minds to be. Have them put 10 quotes up there and have them write it as what would be most meaningful to them. Or put a quotation up the board, have students copy it, write it in their own words, and give an example from their own lives. Just examples about how to use quotations to teach character.